this box. It's divided into two equal parts. Okay, I had a hole and I divided it into two equal parts. Okay, when I shade one part, okay, how much of that did I shade? Well, I shaded half, one of two parts. I shaded half of this hole. Okay, now what if I broke it into four equal parts? Well, I have two equal parts. So if I cut this one in half and this one in half, okay, how many parts do I have shaded now? One, two, three, four. I have two shaded of the four. Okay, so I have 2/4, two of the four parts shaded. Now, what if I wanted to go ahead and again do each of those in half and break it into 8 parts? So I just break each of these parts. So now I have one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. How many parts of the 8 do I have shaded? One, two, three, four. I have 4 of the 8 parts shaded. Now, did I use this color to shade anything else in here? No, I just shaded one time. I broke up the hole into multiple parts. And so now 1/2, 2/4, and 4/8, they are all equivalent fractions. They're the same amount. I have not changed the amount that was shaded. They have different numbers because they are different parts of the whole, but it's the same amount of parts of that whole. Okay. So when you split them up, you are dividing this whole up into different parts. You're breaking it apart, you're dividing it. All right. So you can start with any fraction and change the way the whole is divided to get an equivalent fraction. Okay. So let's look at another example. Okay. So if I have a box, okay, and I want to do 3 parts instead of 2. Okay. So I broke into 3 equal parts. And I go through and I shade one of those 3 equal parts. The part that I have shaded is 1/3, meaning one part of 3 parts, right? So one part of the whole of the 3 holes, right? One, two, 3 parts. One part of the 3 is shaded. So let's say I wanted to shade or I want to draw and break it up into 6 parts. Okay. So I want 2 times as many parts shaded. So I'm going to break it up into 6 parts. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. How many parts of the 6 do I have shaded? One, 2. I have 2 of the 6 parts shaded. So I have 2 of the 6 parts shaded. Now, I want to do it into 12ths. Well, I'm just going to cut it right here in the middle in the half. Okay. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts I took this whole and divided it into 12 equal parts. How many parts of the 12 are shaded? One, two, three, four parts of the 12 are shaded. So 4 of the 12 parts are shaded. Just take a minute and look at these different fractions. All of these fractions are equivalent. Okay? They are the same amount of parts of the whole. Same amount of whole. Same amount shaded. Just break it up into different parts. Divided into different parts. Okay. So there are more parts in 4/12 that are shaded, right? But the shaded area is the same in each model. Each time I did it, I didn't change the amount that was shaded. It's the same amount, it just broken up into smaller pieces. Okay? So equivalent fractions are fractions that are very similar. They're the same amount, not very similar. They are exactly the same amount, but just broken up into different parts. So let's look at another example. All right. So this example, I have shaded in 1/4 of this circle. I've shaded in one part of 4 equal parts in the circle. So if I were to show you this circle, I would ask you how many equal parts are in the circle, right? How many equal parts make up the whole? This is the whole. How many equal parts make it up? Well, you look at how many parts are it's divided into. One, two, three, 4 equal parts. Okay. So let me go through and make 8 equal parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw a line through here. Okay, it should be a little over more, but these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. All right. Now, how many times as many parts are there now? How many times as many parts? So I had one part shaded, right? How many times as many parts do I have shaded? 2. Okay. I have 2 times as many parts. I had 4, and now I have 8. Okay. So I had 2 times as many parts. Well, how many parts do I have shaded? Well, I had 1 at first, and if I have 2 times as many, that leaves me with 2. I have 2 parts shaded of the 8 parts. Okay. So if 3 of the original 4 parts were shaded, how many of the 8 parts would be shaded? So let's look at this. Okay, take away these blue. Okay, just look at these black lines here. Okay, I'm going to make it just a little more. All right. So if I have 1 part, 2 part, 3 part, and 4 parts. Okay. If 3 of the original parts were shaded, so this was the original part, second original part, third original part, so 3 of the 4 parts shaded, how many of the 8 parts would be shaded? So if I have 3 of the 4 parts shaded, how many of the 8 parts would be shaded? Okay. Well, you can do this of a few different ways. The first way is that you could count it up. How many parts were shaded? Well, let's look. If I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts, how many of those 8 equal parts are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8 equal parts are shaded. Again, that is 2 times as many parts shaded. Okay. Now, if all 8 parts were shaded, how many of the original 4 parts were shaded? So if I shaded these last two, How many of the original 4 parts would be shaded? All 4. These are equivalent fractions. Again, 4 times 2, 3 times 2, those are equivalent fractions, okay? It's the same amount shaded, it's just broken into different parts, okay? All right, so now it's your turn to try it out.